Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. My name's Stephen, the host of the Endless Celts Podcast, and yes, I'm back again. Going to be back for the foreseeable future. And again, I just want to thank all the guys who've supported me on the way, especially on the podcast, and my co-host John, who's not with us tonight. He's done a fantastic job. But tonight we'll have Anthony and Francis. How are you both?
Yeah, all
All
good,
good, mate.
Stephen.
All good. Enjoyed that tremendous result again at the weekend, so can't wait to get tore in discussing it.
Yeah, 100%. But obviously, before we get on to that type of topic, I mean, we'll have to start at the first place, and that's KYOGO. And over the last 24 hours, he's received, I mean, terrible abuse from certain sections of the Rangers support. Obviously, we're not here to tar all Rangers fans or the club with one brush. It's certain elements of the support, but we just need to call it out, as we would do if Celtic fans were involved in racism as well. And seeing that, Anthony, that kind of abuse, singing about KYOGO, where he's from, and all that type of thing, it's just sickening, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just the kind of nonsense that belongs in the dark ages. To be honest with you, Stephen, I didn't really watch the video. I've seen the stills of it, and it's very easy. It's very obvious what the sort of connotations are behind it. It's not something you like to see. It's maybe hurts. It maybe shouldn't hurt more when it's just because it's one of your own players. But it's just sickening to see right across the board. Excuse me. One of the things I do have to say though, and I've got to give credit to Rangers. They've been very quick and very robust in their dealing with it. They put out a very strong worded statement on it last night, and I believe as we record this, the perpetrators have been punished. I think they've been banned from Ibrox, and I actually even believe the supporters bus, and during which the footage was recorded, is now banned from receiving match tickets going forward. So really, really robust sort of response to the incident from Rangers, as was Celtic's statement that went out last night, and Ange Postecoglou's defence of KYOGO today. So an incident that is not the kind of thing we like to see, but I'm very glad at how it's been dealt with.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right in terms of the quick response from Rangers, which is great to see. Celtic coming out with a statement. KYOGO himself posting that picture saying he'll never walk alone, and that's true, Francis. I mean, KYOGO's been here a matter of weeks, and he's kind of made an imprint on all Celtic fans' hearts, and just the way he's performing. And obviously for him, he might not be showing up, but I'm sure this kind of 24-hour period has kind of affected him in terms of what he's saying and what people are saying about him. But just to echo, obviously, what Anthony said, Rangers have banned the perpetrator and coincidentally their supporters bus as well, which I think is fantastic. Do you know what I mean? Everyone in that kind of thing was involved in the chanting and the singing and stuff. So it was great to see Ange Postecoglou give a fantastic interview today, kind of defending KYOGO, saying everyone should be welcome. Do you know what I mean? He's a human being at the end of the day, and it's just nice to see the response, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like you used to have touched on there. It's you've got to commend Rangers for their quick response and the punishments they've handed out. I don't see how they could do any more as a club to punish these guys. It's now obviously a police issue, and these guys will obviously feel wrath because some of them you would suspect they'll lose jobs out of this. So it's more this will affect them more than just losing a season ticket or tickets going forward and stuff. But yeah, it's not nice to see anytime you sort of see it and stuff. And what bothered me a lot yesterday is when you see it on social network and you maybe go and read some of the comments, it was all the whataboutery and like treating it like a competition. Like it was like that was one of the issues what bothered me was just how some fans on both sides and stuff were just sort of treating it like, but what about when you've done this, or what about when you've done, like, racism suddenly became a competition and stuff. So yeah, it was just not nice to kind of see that kind of stuff carried on. But as regards to statements and stuff from the clubs and Ange Postecoglou, it's good to see that he's getting, like, not that you wouldn't expect him to get the support, but it's good to see that he's getting the right support, and it's quick and stuff.
Yeah, it is, and obviously it's disheartening. But again, just the echo, it's great to see the support, and everyone at the Endless Celts Podcast, we all stand behind KYOGO for Hashi. I mean, he's a Celtic player. He's playing fantastically well at the moment, and what we'll do now is move on to On the Pitch Matters, which where he is shining at the moment. He's been a fantastic player since he put on that Celtic shirt. And we'll just touch upon the St Mirren game. Celtic won 6-0. I mean, trying to remember the goal scores off the top of my head. Turnbull got a hat trick, Abada got 2,
And
Edward got the other one. It was a fantastic performance. I predicted 7-1, so I was probably the closest out of our group. But come to yourself, Francis. I mean, Abada on the right hand side, he makes such a drastic difference. Cutting in, he scored a wonderful goal. Maybe the keeper for St Mirren, Alwick or something, his name's pronounced. He's kind of suspect for a few goals, but even at that, he's still attempting them shots and then getting in the box for the other goal as well. It's just good to see, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's great to see your wingers doing that. Like Abada does like to keep it wide up, but he likes to come inside and get a shot off. And his first goal, he's benefited from that. Yeah, the keeper should save it. It's kind of went through his arms. It's taken a slight deflection, but not a big one when you actually see the replays. But yeah, it was another dominant performance again. And weirdly, I said it in the group chat out our home games anyway this season. I actually don't think it's been our best performance, and that's saying a lot when you win 6-0. And I know there was obviously certain factors that go into that. Like I say, the keeper, the red card doesn't help. St Mirren's cause obviously was a red card, but it doesn't help St Mirren's cause because they were obviously going to be struggling coming into the game. And then when they go down to 10 men for a large chunk of the game, that just does not help them at all. But it was good performances all round and stuff. And it actually could have been more if the guy we spoke of earlier I think he left his shooting boots in the changing room, because actually missed, by his standards, it was 2 sitters. By most players, they were fairly awkward chances, but the impact that KYOGO's had so far, you'd expect him to tuck them away quite easily. But I think we'll allow him them. He's got a wee bit he's got some brownie points, if you like. So yeah, it was a good performance again all round, and it's good to see when we're like going to Turnbull's hat-trick goal and that, like you see the mentality, the Ange Postecoglou's way of we don't stop. Everybody seems a collective and stuff, because Turnbull's last goal, he chased down a ball that he didn't really need to chase down. But he done the high press and won it high back. And if he was selfish now, he's not had a great start, and it doesn't maybe necessarily that like Postecoglou fans. So he might have tried just to go alone to get on the score sheet, but he didn't. He played the pass, and the ball eventually found its way to Turnbull. So it's nice to see that, even when we're a few goals, in that case 5-0 up with 5 minutes to play, you've still got guys playing for the team and not try to be an individual and stuff just to get their name on the score sheet. So yeah, it's positives all round for me, Stephen.
Yeah. I think as well that ties back to the open mic session we heard on the training ground when Postecoglou said we only stop at half time and full time to celebrate. Do you know what I mean? He has that confidence about him that he's going to win every game. And looking at the home form, I mean, we talked about this previously, Anthony. It looks like we're going to destroy teams, and off the basis obviously of the Hearts games, Dundee games, ALKMAAR games, and then the St Mirren one there. I mean, the evidence is stacking up to say we are going to hurt some teams this year. I mean, touching upon the Turnbull and stuff, but I want to go back to what Francis said about St Mirren go down to 10 men and that red card. And that ALKMAAR seems to always get himself in trouble against Celtic, whether it be for Kilmarnock and now it's for St Mirren. Anthony, what do you think his problem is?
I've no idea, Stephen, but I've also no idea how either he, any of his teammates, or even bizarrely enough, a pundit who I normally agree pretty much with a lot of what he says, Michael Stewart, how any of them think that they've got a case that was not a red card. It is the easiest red card you'll see all season. It was an absolute shocker. I actually sit down in that section of the ground. I sit in FS2 in the main stand, so I was right in line with the incident, and you were out your seat and you were like, this cannot be anything else than a red card. And for them, he sort of looked around bemused at the fact that Colum had reached into his top pocket, going, "What are you actually complaining about?" If another little, if Turnbull's legs not planted, he's looking at a season out there. It was a real shocker, and yeah, absolutely, it was a correct decision. But yeah, in terms of the match itself, it was very much similar to the Dundee game and Hearts the week before that. We were just sort of completely dominant. Going forward. Yeah, Joe Hart didn't really have much to do at the back. The back four weren't really tested defensively. But when you've got the amount of options that we have going forward, and pretty much all of those players are playing to a very high standard at the moment. These results are going to be more the norm than not, because when we're, especially at a full Celtic Park, the confidence is just flowing. We're a well-oiled machine at the moment, and just long may this run of good form continue.
Yeah, I mean, see as well, obviously over the last couple of weeks we've been kind of focusing on players and stuff, and obviously we're going to talk about Turnbull and things, and you look at the whole team, Francis, and from back to front, obviously we still have a bit of work to do, kind of strengthening the back forward, centre back area. I know we signed the Croatian right back there, which is 5-year deal as well, which is fantastic. But do you think that the team itself, gonna like facing the rest of the season as it stands, would you be confident going into most games anyway with the team we have?
Oh, I don't see how you can't be anything other than confident, but to sort of try and look long term, I can't see how, without some sort of reinforcements and some depth in the squad, I can't see how you can keep this momentum up going forward. I mean, the team might surprise us and stuff, but it's the amount each player seems to put into a game. It seems hard to sort of keep that up, I would think, through a sort of a season. So I think we need some players in various positions just to obviously help them, but you can see Postecoglou's even making sensible substitutions. Like, how many times has McGregor been substituted in the last 3 years? But Postecoglou's taken him off with like 20 minutes to go, which is great management, I think. The game's done, if you like, but he doesn't need it. So bring it in. McGregor's our captain, brings him off. He knows how important it is to the team, and that. So he's giving guys as good a rest as he can. So yeah, it's going on what I've seen. Short answer, Stephen. Yes, I can see us doing this going forward, but you've got to be look long term, and I think the guys need help in there.
Mm-hmm. As you said, that style of play, it needs bodies, it needs rotation. We spoke about it on the last podcast. It needs like 3 players for every position of the same quality to come in. If someone's tired, you can bring someone else in. But just to focus on a few players from the game, obviously we need to speak about David Turnbull. We'll have to. He started off the season pretty suspect. He was pretty average. He didn't look his normal self like he did last season. It was a dip for him anyway, because last season he was one of the bright sparks in a terrible season. But come to yourself, Anthony, first here. Turnbull got a hat-trick there, and Francis rightly touched upon. He chased down that ball, and the ball finally found its way to Turnbull, but he was in the box. He was in them areas, and there was a lot of concerns, people saying, is he going to fit this style, his work rate? But what I've seen of Turnbull, he seems to drop deeper in position in the number 6 kind of role. He takes the ball, he roams with it, he takes players on, he finds them passes. And I think, personally, he's one of our better performers over the last 4 games.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that 100%, Stephen. Absolutely. David Turnbull is an absolutely phenomenally talented player. There's no doubt about that. You could see it even when he was coming through the ranks at Fir Park. You know, obviously we'd missed out on John McGinn sort of around the time when he was breaking into the Motherwell team, and you know, very quickly you could see this guy's the next big thing to come out of Scotland. We can't miss this one. We have to, if there's an opportunity to get him, we have to go for it. Obviously, everything happened with his injury and whatnot, and that signing was delayed for a season. He took a little time to break into the team last season, but and like you say, was off the boil a little bit at the start, just sort of as the Postecoglou reign got underway. But like as you say, the last few weeks he's been absolutely fantastic. He looks hungry, he looks fit, he looks like he's enjoying his football. You can really build a team, I think, around him and Callum McGregor in the middle of that part now. I just hope we manage to keep a hold of him for a good number of years, because if he can keep this up, the world's his oyster.
I 100% agree with you. I mean, not to get carried away, but he has the potential to be the best midfielder of Scotland, to be fair, the way he's playing. And obviously, Callum McGregor's right up there as well at the moment, the way he's playing too, Francis. But David Turnbull in that game against St Mirren, and as you rightly said, it wasn't the best game Celtic played in terms of the attacking sense, but when I was watching the game at Celtic Park when we were playing Hearts, the cup game, he just takes the ball and he doesn't panic. He's a bit like Rodgers like that, but I think he's a bit more athletic than him. And he can take it in tight areas. He plays them passes, the lofted ball over the top, wee flicks, wee back heels and stuff. He just has it all at the minute, doesn't he?
Yeah, it just the guy just can't seem to do anything wrong. And like you guys touched on, it didn't go off to a great start, but he's now shown what we all know he has and what he showed last season. The guy just, for his age, just looks so comfy in that team right now. He looks like he's one of, if not the main man now. He just stand in that midfield. He just seems to have that presence, and like you say, he has got the sort of similarities to Rodgers, but obviously more athletic. But it's just I love how he's playing. He just seems to have it all there now. His range of passing is really good, whether that be short or long or through the lines. He's clearly got an eye for a goal, and that's not just going back to Saturday's game. And that is, I've touched on it before. Generally, when he takes a strike, it usually makes the keeper work. He's always hitting the target, so it's fairly good. It just, it's like Anthony said, the world's his oyster now, and for me, he's kind of like your old school number 8. He just seems to just be up and down the park. He's almost as a box to box midfielder without being just back and forward. Is something maybe like, I know we're getting totally got to carry away, but maybe like a Frank Lampard type player where he just seems to find himself in the right place. He's happy enough to drop back because he's comfortable enough to take the ball to say, look, I'll make things happen and stuff, and he knows in he's confident in his own ability that he'll make a pass and stuff. So yeah, it's just, I love the guy now, man. He's brilliant.
I mean, obviously as well, I'm going to bring up something here, and it might be a bit, do you know what I mean? There are two different types of midfielders, but it kind of goes back to the whole goal scoring thing and creating opportunities. And I'm going to go back to Stuart Armstrong when he was at Celtic, and I thought for years Celtic failed to replace him. Celtic did. I mean, they didn't have that person to break the lines, get in the box and take shots or try and lay players on with assists. Do you think, Anthony, the Turnbull, I mean, as I said, Armstrong's work rate's fantastic. He can play on the wing and stuff, but for that centre of midfield role, do you think we've kind of found that replacement in Turnbull?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, obviously, like you said, sort of different types of players. Armstrong, especially under Rodgers, was the sort of box-to-box sort of player, and just had that energy. He just went from one box to the other for the full 90 minutes. And obviously, the Invincible season, he was a real standout. But yeah, Turnbull, different type of player, but he's certainly made that midfield his own at the moment. Having McGregor are just, and it doesn't matter whether it be James Forrest or Christie, who's maybe sort of playing maybe closer to him, or Rogic. They all seem to, all of them combined, all seem to have good little bits of understanding, and they know where each other's going to be. But yeah, I would say if you put down your starting 11 on paper with everyone fit, yeah, I think Turnbull's the sort of first one in there at the moment. He's just playing absolutely out his skin at the minute.
Yeah. What about yourself, Francis, about the Turnbull Armstrong thing? I know, as Anthony said, they are different types of players, but I think he contributes in terms of assists and goals, and that's important because Armstrong did that for Celtic. Do you think we're finally getting that again?
Yeah, I understand the angle you're coming from. Like you say, Stephen, they are two different players, but it does seem like the type of player that can maybe replace the goals and stuff, and then hopefully McGregor as well, where a wee bit confidence maybe if McCarthy comes in, he'll maybe start replacing some of the goals and assists. So yeah, I understand the angle you're coming from. I can see Turnbull, and he seems the type of player, the way he just stands tall, that and authoritative like it, he would be happy trying to take on that mantle of being the big shot, I feel like, in the middle of the park.
Mm-hmm. I can see it too. And another player I want to focus on is Adaba. I mean, that's another guy, much like KYOGO. I know Adaba got injured there and he was out for a couple of games, but he's scoring again, and he scored his first 2 league goals for Celtic, and it was fantastic to see. Just breaking into the box, getting on the end of things, shooting from outside the box. And I said there, the keeper was a bit suspect for the first goal he scored, but again, it went in the net, and that's all that counts, Anthony. And I want to get into a wee bit of a thing here, right? So you look at Adaba and you look at James Forrest, both fully fit right now. Who would you take on the right wing?
Oh, it's a hard one. I suppose the easiest way to answer it, I suppose, Stephen, is stick Forrest out on the left, and then you can have the best of both worlds. But yeah, the thing is, obviously, James, he's not had his injury problems to seek last season. He's still I would still argue getting himself back to full fitness. But Abada's at the other age of the, he's at the different sort of age. He's young, he's pacey. So he's going to pick up, like you say, those little niggles that keep him out for a game here and there. His body, by all accounts, is still developing. So these little sort of, pulls and can really sort of harm your sort of game time. So it is quite normal for that to happen at his age. So it might well be that we need to utilise them both when they're fully fit. But yeah, like you say, he's same as KYOGO, same as Turnbull, same as really the full forward line. Really, they're all playing to a really high standard. They're in a real purple patch of form at the minute. And he's one of these players. Ross touched on it one of the last times we were on. He's sort of shot to start with isn't always the best, but he's one of the guys. He gets himself in the right position for the rebound. You think of that first goal against Jablonec away from home. He was there at the right time. I actually think, funnily enough, though, I think his final ball, actually getting a ball into the box for a teammate, is actually a lot better than sometimes what his shots at goal would be, despite the fact that he has actually got his name on the score sheet quite a few times now. He looks like, again, just one of these guys. We didn't know too much about him. He came for roughly, or it might even have been the same fee as KYOGO did, but the two of them have just really hit the ground running. And the two of them, going by their social media responses anyway, they just seem to absolutely love being here. They're loving the full houses and the response they're getting for the fans in the stands, and we're loving watching them play and do their stuff as well. So yeah, best of both worlds.
I think the biggest question, Anthony, is: are they the new Patrick Roberts and Kieran Tierney? The wee bromance coming on, like
you never know. You never know.
Exactly, but coming to yourself, Francis. Obviously, Forrest and Adaba. I mean, Forrest coming into his 30s, Adaba's 19. For me, at the moment, Adaba's getting that jersey in terms of the right wing, and as Anthony said, you could probably put Forrest to the right, but the left, sorry, but then Christie's going to miss out, and he's been playing a blinder as well. So I'm going to ask you the same question as it did Anthony. Who would you take at the moment fully fit, Adaba or Forrest?
Well, I don't know if the last time you checked, Stephen, but I'm not the Celtic manager, so that's not my problem. Next question. I'm joking. I think just on form, you have to go Abada, but it's, to touch on those McCoy, it's a good problem to have we've got right now, I guess, when you're picking between him and James Forrest. But I think James Forrest has got enough credit in the bank to still command that right wing spot. But going on form, I wouldn't have an issue with Abada or Forrest going in there. And I understand the argument to put Forrest out in the left, but I feel like you lost a bit of Forrest out in the left. But again, it's good problems to have that we can sort of do that. And then but to kind of just touch on Abada, it's like he's came in, he's just been a breath of fresh air, and like you guys have said, hit the ground running. And I like how he always seems to hug the touchline. He wants to stay as wide as possible. And he always likes to run down the line, get his crosses in, but equally he can come in and get a shot off. And like you said, he's not always got the greatest shot, but he just seems to find himself in the right place for the rebound. It's like he just plays a wee 1-2 with the defenders. But I like the fact that he can obviously go to the line, cross it in, or come inside, and he generally will always take the shot on. So that creates spaces for other players within the team, because if he's cutting inside, the defending side might be like, oh, we need to cover him. He's going to shoot. He's not necessarily going to lay it off. And so it just creates spaces elsewhere in the park. And even when players like maybe Taylor or Christie or whoever's playing out left on the other side, I think it's maybe more a coaching thing, because you see it on the other side, he's always coming into the back post and stuff. That's how we got his second goal at the weekend. He was just at the back post for the header. So, and then we've got to remember, this guy's coming in, a foreigner coming into a foreign country, 19-year-old, and he's playing out his skin. So yeah, like you guys said, long may it continue with guys like him and KYOGO and just anybody really now in a Celtic jersey.
I think you're right in that front, but I want to get your opinion on something, obviously, before we move on, both of you anyway. And it's KYOGO and Edouard, okay? And I said this in the last podcast. I think KYOGO out the left, he's a bit wasted. That's my opinion. I think he's far better for the middle, and I really hope against ALKMAAR and against Rangers coming up this weekend that he plays in that position, because he can torture them defenders, make them runs in behind. I know, obviously, Postecoglou obviously is trying to find a way to fit Edouard in the team because if he's there, he's on big wages, he needs to play, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, for me anyway, KYOGO's better for the middle. He kind of occupies the two defenders, and he's a bit lost out in the left. Do you get that opinion when you see him out in the left?
Lost, probably not. I mean, he still had that. Although he didn't actually get on the score sheet on Saturday, he still was involved heavily in the goals. Some of the little bits of movement, the little touches to drag opposition players out of position that then allowed Taylor and Abada and Christie and Turnbull the space to get their shots. He was certainly influential. But I do agree, Stephen, and I think it's pretty telling that, and if you're going to put the inverted commas around it, the big game so far this season would have been ALKMAAR last week, and Edouard didn't start. He started with KYOGO in the middle last Wednesday and brought Edouard on. I think he probably will do the same on Thursday and Sunday, because I like you say, I do think that is where he's absolute most effective. Like you say, the good threat thing about KYOGO is that he's so versatile, and even if he's getting played through the middle, he's still going to dart off left, right, and even right the way back as well to help out. And that will cause the ALKMAAR defenders and the Rangers defenders at the weekend all sorts of problems. So I would agree with you to the sense that I would start him through the middle, and then it doesn't matter. Whatever way the game's going, the ALKMAAR defenders and the Rangers defenders will tire if they've got to put up with him through the middle for a prolonged period of time, which would then allow for me, in my opinion, for Edouard to then come on perhaps later on in the game, maybe 65 minutes plus, and then be, can you imagine trying to keep a hold of, KYOGO for most of the game? I mean, it's like trying to pin a wave to the sand, and then a £9 million striker coming on. It's just, it would cause any defence all sorts of problems for me. So yeah, if I was Ange Postecoglou, that would probably be my thinking for the two games going forward. That might not be the news that Edouard would want to hear, but as I say, until we know what's happening any which way with his situation, whether he's going to be here or not, we have to sort of plan for life without him. And on the occasions that KYOGO's played through the centre so far this season, we've reaped the rewards.
Yeah, I think that's a great kind of summary in terms of the positional sense of things. And when I said lost, I didn't mean lost as in player sense. He's not getting involved. I mean, you're not getting the best out of there, Francis. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You look at it as well. Edouard, as Anthony rightly said there, we don't know what's happening. We don't know if he's staying or he's going. If someone's going to come in with a bid in the last day and he's going to wave bye-bye and he's going to be away with no time to replace him. And I think we do need to plan for life without Edouard. That should have been done last season as well in terms of someone coming in. But what would you do, Francis, for the games coming up? Would you put KYOGO back for the middle? Because in my opinion, that's where he's best.
Yeah, I would have to go through the middle, same as yourselves. I mean, I understand trying to get Edouard on the team because a fit and firing Edouard whose head's in the right place. You've got the best striker, and even with KYOGO's start, you've Edouard playing at top form. He's the best striker in Scotland by a country mile, best player in Scotland by a country mile. So I can understand maybe trying to get him on side if you like, but like you do seem to have lost a good bit of KYOGO playing him out there in terms of how we seem to be going forward, because Edouard doesn't seem to be making the same sorts of similar runs. But Postecoglou, by all accounts, has seen KYOGO more than ourselves, and he did say he played a lot off the left in Japan. But on the evidence what we've seen, I would going forward, I would like to see him through the middle. And like Anthony's touched on, he has in the bigger sort of games, I feel like he has played KYOGO through the middle, and it seems to be the other games Edouard's coming in, but KYOGO's still playing off left. So yeah, I would, for the upcoming two games, I would like to see KYOGO through the middle. But again, going into Sunday's game, I wouldn't be totally against Edouard being up there, because he's done it against Rangers plenty of times. So it goes back to the Forest about it's a nice position to be in, but yeah, I'd most certainly go with KYOGO through the middle if it's just a straight question between the two. For me, it has to be KYOGO for the middle.
It has to be KYOGO for the middle, as Anthony said. Like, he will torture them defenders.
Yeah, and like Anthony said, it's a great point he made. If he's got to drag them into players into positions they don't want to be, which will open up spaces. They'll maybe not know whether to go to stick or twist, whether they track them and stuff. And that meant, physically and mentally, that's got to be tiring. And like Anthony says, you could then bring an Edward on then to sort of exploit the spaces for there.
Exactly. And obviously, we touched upon the games coming up. ALKMAAR on Thursday and then the Glasgow Derby on Sunday. And it's going to be, this is the biggest week in Postecoglou's tenure so far as Celtic manager, Anthony. And we'll just look ahead to the ALKMAAR game. Obviously, we'll focus more in depth on the Glasgow Derby game in the up-and-coming podcast. But 2-0 aggregate score, we're ahead. But again, ALKMAAR had chances to score at Celtic Park. They had, at least 5 good opportunities. Joe Hart was on fire. He made some cracking saves, especially the one where he tipped onto the post with his foot. That was a great save. But going into the game over in Holland, Anthony, Postecoglou has obviously said that there's no holding back. It's just the Postecoglou. It's the Ange ball. It's just going for it from the start. Are you a bit kind of weary about that? Would you sit back and defend, or do you think it's just us as fans being scared of just going and trying to dominate a game the way Postecoglou sees that we can?
Well, you're right, Stephen. It is going to be an absolutely massive week for Ange and the team. Obviously, ALKMAAR on Thursday, Rangers at Ibrox on Sunday. So, yep, it's quite fitting that our 50th episode has fallen on this week. It's a perfect time to discuss all the big events. Ahead of Thursday, I'll be honest, I would go with what Ange is saying. Go out and play our game and don't worry too much about what the opposition are going to do. Historically, we have never been too successful when overthinking it, if that's maybe the best term to use. Even if we've got a big lead, a slender lead, or even if we're behind, if we try and sort of play an extra man in the middle, or we try and sit back, it more often than not in years gone by has come back to haunt us. This team is playing full of confidence. Yeah, we rode our luck at times last week. Like you say, Joe Hart made a couple of really good saves. Tony Ralston's intervention, just when up where I was sitting at the game last week, I just was waiting on the ALKMAAR defender, putting it in the far corner, low, and Ralston just seemed to come out of nowhere and clear the lines. So, we rode our luck a little bit, but by the same point, we also were quite clinical. We took up two chances when they came along, and it would have been 3 were it not for an absolute series of wonder saves and blocks from their goalkeeper and their defenders, from Edward and God, I can't remember who else. It was a total pinball at one point, trying to get it in the net, and we just couldn't get it over the line. So yeah, I couldn't imagine Ange sitting down to these guys going ahead to Thursday and going, right, we're going to change it up a wee bit. We're going to be defensive. We're going to try and sit back. I just don't think. It's not that this group of players aren't capable of playing that way, because they're all talented players, but I just think I'm always a big believer in, if some don't try and fix it, there's not a need for us to change now. I get that it's away from home. I get that ALKMAAR are a good side, but we're a right good side as well. We have scored in every competitive game we've played so far this season, and we're more than capable of going there on Thursday night and scoring 1 or 2, which could really put the tie beyond ALKMAAR. So yeah, and they always say as well, it is a bit of a cliche, but they say that 2-0's the worst lead to try and defend, especially away from home. So I just say, why not just go and play to our strengths, and hopefully that will see us through in the night.
Yeah, that's the exciting part, isn't it? Because as you said, Anthony, we've went into games before, whether it be 2-1 up, 3-1 up, and we always, as you say, overthink it. We sit back and we invite pressure onto ourselves, and we end up eventually conceding goals. The team goes into panic, and then obviously the forward result is we get put out of competitions, and that seems to be the way Celtic have been over the years anyway. But Francis, Postecoglou's come in with his kind of his Ange ball, as all the Celtic fans are calling it at the minute. It's just free-flowing attacking football, and he quite openly said, as long as we score more than the opposition, he doesn't really mind. And people are like, well, what about the defence? But he's the type of coach, in my opinion, that won't waver, he won't change, he won't be scared of any opponent, because he believes in Celtic and the team we have, that we can go compete at this level anyway at the Europa League. Obviously, the Midtjylland game came too early, and what happened if we play them now? Could we have turned them over? I think we could have, but again, we can't look back in hindsight in terms of that. But get into the game at Holland. Are you confident Celtic can see it through and even get a comfortable victory?
Yeah, I don't say you can't be anything but confident just simply on what we've seen so far, and especially the home leg. Yeah, it's the second leg is away from home, and history tells you sometimes you do find it harder to play away from home in Europe, and we're no stupid. Like ALKMAAR are a decent enough outfit, but yeah, I like Postecoglou's thinking of saying, well, this is who we are. He's obviously maybe not trying to get teams to change for him, but he's not going to change his style to suit another team. He's going to try and go toe to toe with them. For like you say, well, this is how we're playing. This is your style, so it's working for us. This is how we're going to play going forward. Me personally, I might try and be a wee bit more reserved, but again, I think that's more of just how Celtic's been in the past, and I know, as I've said, it's not been successful and stuff, so I don't know why I would be using that logic, but it's just one of those things because it's how big a game it is. But I find it quite refreshing when he makes a kind of comment saying, look, we'll just be doing the normal thing so that you'll be facing the same thing you faced last week. So it's nice to see, and the way we're playing, I can't see us not scoring in any game, so I can't see us conceding 3 goals to maybe 3-4 goals on Thursday night anyway, so I can't see anything but a positive outcome for the tie, whether that be that we win the game or draw the game or whatever, or even get beat. I don't believe they will overturn the aggregate score, because I just simply can't see us not scoring in any game with the chances we create right now. So I'm not saying we'll maybe win on the night, Stephen, but I think the outcome will be a favourable one.
Yeah, I mean, go back to what you said there about logic in terms of how you're thinking you'd be a bit more reserved. That's what we know as Celtic fans, because we begin a lead at home, and then we always talking about just sit back, protect the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be going gung ho, don't be going attacking, don't be trying to score goals. And then when we do that, we invite pressure. It's like as Celtic fans at the minute, we're scared of the unknown because we've never been in a situation where managers just quite clearly saying, nope, we're not defending anything. We're going straight at it from the start. But just before we obviously move on to the score and lineup predictions, I mean, Anthony Ralston, he's a topic of conversation at the moment. He has been fantastic. I mean, the last 5 performances, he's been faultless, to be fair. And Anthony rightly said the challenge against ALKMAAR in the first leg when he came out of the back post out of nowhere, like Superman, just cleared the ball. He's been solid in all the league games he's played in. Celtic made a signing there. Jas Krnovic, again, that's probably wrong, but sure. Croatian right back. I think it's 10 or 11 international caps. He played in the Euros and stuff. Come to yourself, Anthony, here first. Do you think Postecoglou's going to throw him in, or do you think he's going to stick with Ralston?
I think at the moment he'll stick with Ralston purely on a fitness front, Stephen. I don't think, obviously, we're flying over and one thing and another. I'm not sure. I know he did play. He has been playing for Warsaw, but you just don't know on what's, even to integrate with his new teammates, etc. It would maybe be a massive risk, especially with the fact that it'd be different if, perhaps Anthony Ralston was blown hot and cold, but he's playing out his skin at the moment. It might well be that if you, tried to change it at such a critical moment, that could have a negative effect. It may well be that he may start at Ibrox. I think that's or at least he might feature at some point at Ibrox. But I think Thursday might just come a little bit too soon for him.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I noticed, Francis, when you obviously see the pictures on whether it be Instagram, whether it be Twitter, was he got a hug from the holy goalie himself, Arthur Bhoys, kind of as passes to Celtic Park, and Bhoys giving him that kind of acceptance and stuff. He's taking over the mantle as the next guy from his team to go to Celtic in terms of Leg Warsaw. But are you in much of the same opinion as Anthony? Ralston will stay in for this game anyway.
Yeah, I have apart from this season, I was far from Anthony Ralston's fan, but I don't see how you can actually say otherwise now. It's the guy's been brilliant, so I don't see how you can bring Uran. I don't actually believe he's eligible for Thursday night because he wasn't registered in time, but I could be wrong. So I think Thursday's out of the equation for him regardless. But yeah, going into Sunday, if it was maybe a home game, not necessarily against Rangers, I would maybe see Juranovic coming in, but I don't see him coming in at all until after the international break. So just with the way we're playing just now, and the way Ralston especially is playing, you just can't drop the guy now. But like Anthony said, maybe if you're going okay, you've got a nice wee cushion on Sunday, you can maybe bring the guy on for 5-10 minutes. But I think he'll be in the squad on Sunday, but I don't think he'll actually be playing on Sunday. I don't think we'll actually see him until after that game.
I mean, you could bring him on Sunday if we're like 6-7-0 ahead. I mean, that'd be an okay thing to bring him on, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just saying. Yeah. But look, moving on to obviously lineup and score predictions. So come to yourself, Francis, here. First of all, give me your lineup prediction and then your score after.
Well, I'm going to be a wee bit pragmatic against what the manager's actually said. I mean, I'm still sticking to my 4-3-3 if you like, but obviously the back four picks, or back five if you include Hart, the back four picks at Selway, Ralston, Starfelt, Welsh and Taylor. I think McCarthy may come in if he's fit. I think he may come in with Turnbull and McGregor in front of him. Just a wee bit more stability in the middle of the park. Maybe a wee bit McGregor just sitting slightly back. And then Christie out left, Abada on the right and KYOGO up front. So a wee bit more reserve. We're not having like your Rogic or something in. But that's me. I suspect Dance's will have it slightly more attacking.
What about the score?
I'm going a 2-2 draw, and I'm giving KYOGO and Abada a goal each for us.
Nice one. And yourself, Anthony, line up first, followed by your score prediction.
Look, line up, yeah. Well, like as Francis says, goalkeeper on the back four just pick themselves. I do think it'll be McGregor and Turnbull. I think he'll go Rogic to start, I must admit, just going by what he says. But I think perhaps James Forrest would start rather than Abada. But again, like you say, I would start KYOGO up front on his own, and Edward probably to feature later in the game. So yeah, maybe a bit more physicality in the middle of the park. We having Rogic, Turnbull, and McGregor rather than perhaps Abada out on the right. But yeah, and I think I can see it. I'm going to be very confident, maybe a bit more confident than I should be, but I'll say a 2-0 victory for Celtic. I think we'll go over there and keep a clean sheet.
I was very confident with 10 players today.
Oh, I missed one, sorry.
I got a left mid.
That was meant to be Christie. Sorry, I thought I'd mentioned him, yeah. So yeah, Christie, but Forrest out on the right, just that wee bit more experience than Abada, and KYOGO through the middle, yep.
For me, I'll go Joe Hart, Ralston, Welsh, Starfelt, Taylor, Sorrow starting slightly deeper than the free, McGregor, Turnbull in front of him, because I think Sorrow coming in as well can give a bit more athleticism in the middle of the park in terms of closing people down. KYOGO through the middle, Adaba on the right, and Christie on the left. And my score, I'll go 3-2 Celtic. I'll go KYOGO to get 2 and Turnbull to get the other one. What do you think about that?
That sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, in terms of the main show, guys, that's us kind of finished. The quiz, I didn't have time, obviously, coming in from work to kind of do a quiz, so we'll leave that for this week. I'll be back again.
Oh, thank God, because I think Camford have probably scudded me 3-0
But it will be back, obviously, in the podcast coming up, looking more in depth to the Glasgow Derby game on Sunday. But again, as I always say to people who are listening, bear with us because we are going to go video. I know we've been saying that since like the 20th podcast, but as Anthony said, this is our 50th episode. This is a big milestone for us in terms of a podcast group. We started this back in February and we didn't really know where it would go. And we've gained followers in every single platform that we're appearing on, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast. We're on everything and people are supporting us, people are listening, and soon people will be watching our faces. I mean, that could be a good thing or not a good thing, but we'll see in due course.
See how it goes.
Come to yourself. We'll come to yourself here, Anthony and Francis. Have you enjoyed this one?
Yeah, it's been good.
Absolutely, Stephen. Like you say, it's been a kind of crazy ride the last 50 episodes, but yeah, I enjoy coming on here. whenever I'm on, and like you say, the numbers are growing all the time. I mean, I'm not as technologically advanced as what John is. He keeps everything going on all the different platforms. But one thing I would say that's a good thing is I've noticed our YouTube subscription has never, since we've actually started, no one's ever that's subscribed to us has ever unsubscribed so far. Like you say, that may change when we go to video, and the public get our lovely mugs, staring back at them. But for the time being, yep, as Chandler's boss says in Friends, the lines all go up, so I'm happy.
that may change if people witness us on a night out. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God, absolutely. Anybody that's seen us in Malone's last Saturday, oh my God.
Some of the dance moves. Some of the dance moves.
Oh, I tell you. My feet just can't behave when Little Mix comes on, son. Tell you that.
Some of the weightlifting boys, you know what I mean? But here, in terms of the show,
the better.
Exactly. In terms of the show, guys, that's us all done. And to the listeners who's listening and supporting us whenever we put a podcast up, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.